Welcome to another episode of NetStruc Talks. I am your host, Sharon Lead, publicity strategist, founder of NetStruc PR, and Ladies of Third Thursday Business Network Group. And NetStruc Talks is a show that is all about delivering valuable insights about businesses and services guided by my motto, tell me something I don't know so me and my audience can be a better consumer and professional. Each episode, I feature candid conversations with remarkable guests who not only impress me with their achievements, but also inspires many with their life stories. And today, my guest is all about soul care for the mind, body, and soul. Stay tuned. Welcome, and I'm excited to have Rev KC Jones here, our guest today that's going to be talking about soul care coaching. Rev KC, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much, Sharon, for having me.
It is great to always talk with you, and it's enlightening to just hear all of the great things to what you're doing, but you always stay the course in terms of the different things to what you're doing, not only for the community but the business community itself. And when we started working, we were talking about your non-for-profit organization that you had put together, and now you are a coach with soul care, and we're going to talk about what that really means. But why don't you give our listening audience a little bit about who is Reverend KC Jones?
Okay. So I've had so many lives, right? I started out as a social worker and a counselor, doing domestic violence work in different social service agencies. And I ended up going to seminary during that whole process and getting my master's of divinity. After that, I started pastoring a church and pastored a church for over 14 years. And then I got into coaching and then soul care coaching. So my life has been on a straight path of helping people and just caring about persons' souls and their spirits. That's basically
Wow.
me in a nutshell.
Yeah. And again, what you said is right. Like everything just stayed the course of helping people, whether it was, as a counselor, so all of this really stayed in course in terms of you now at the coaching part of soul care.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit. What is soul care? How did you come about that this was what you wanted to do?
So soul care is different for everyone. So for me, soul care, especially having the spiritual background and religious background, it's a method of coaching that focuses on each person's complete growth. And I have to say complete because a lot of coaching out there only focuses on one aspect. And we need the whole shebang, basically.
Mm.
So using Greek terminology, the soul is the psyche, and it's the center of consciousness and unconscious thought, of thought, feelings, motivations that then direct the body's reactions to its social and physical environment. So when I use soul care, it addresses all of the thoughts and the feelings and behaviors that might limit each one of us from accessing our divine light, our spirit. So if you think about a circle, right? A circle within a circle within a circle. In the middle is your spirit, right? And the spirit is your divine light. It's your connection with God. It's deep in your body, in your circles, basically. And then the middle ring is the soul. And the soul is all about all the behaviors, all of the human things that happen in our lives happens in the soul realm. And then you have the body that's on the outside. And so what I coach clients to do is to get past all the human ways that we're coping in a turbulent world, right? A world of ups and downs, in order to access that inner light and the divine that we have within us. So in religious terms, we say, let your light shine. We can't let our light shine unless the soul gets kind of stripped away little piece by piece. So that's basically what soul care is.
And, you talk about, how to, you coach people and you help your clients to try to move away from the human part and really dig deep in the soul part. And we had this conversation before in terms of, you are a product of your own product. You just didn't know that you were your own client when your son, when he got into that really bad accident, and you really had to have that soul searching and pull the human, all of the human things that what you were talking about, and really dig deep. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then do the collation between the two in terms of how they connect?
Yeah. So first, let me reiterate that the soul is all of your human parts. So we can't strip it away. We can't get rid of our humanness, but we can have tools and different modalities that will help us get deeper into where we want to be, which is the spirit. So I started ministry probably, I think, in 2002. And by 2009, I was doing life coaching. And it wasn't until 2011 when my son was attacked. He was attacked on the street by 5 youth who came up behind him with a brick that they had found, on the side in someone's yard, and hit him from behind. And that started our journey of, having him hospitalized. And thank God he's okay and thriving now. But during and after this event, I was observing how I was being blessed and what things were keeping me together at that time. I kind of have that eye on myself and then outside of myself, which allows me to keep learning while I am going through things, right? And so the things that were keeping me together was prayer, people, and purpose. So prayer came easy for me. I'm a minister. That's part of my everyday life. Purpose made me turn my pain into basically power, in starting a mentoring program for boys that's now in New York and Ghana, West Africa. And then the last one was people, right? The community. The community that came to my family's assistance was really, really important. So when we were waiting for Jason to come out of surgery, he had a cracked jaw on one side, fractured jaw, and a severe concussion. We were waiting in the waiting room, waiting for the doctor to come and tell us he was out. And when the doctor came out, thank God, with good news, a waiting room full of people were on their feet waiting for the news too. And we didn't even realize how many people were there for Jason. I never felt more supported, and knew that it was important to my healing, to my family's healing, and that it would be important to other people's healing as well. So coming out of that situation with Jason healing up and healed, I also knew that it took a little bit more than prayer, purpose, and people, groups of people, to really help us with our grief process and just everyday life that causes us grief. It takes other things like, for instance, communing with nature and your surroundings, things you don't see, driving to work every day. And then all of a sudden you're in the passenger seat and it's like, where did that building come from, right? So God gave us people, places, and things to help us on our journey. But we have to slow down enough to actually take them in and all the benefits. So soul care coaching is comprehensive. It's complete. It's not just saying go out and exercise and you're going to feel better. That's a part of it. It's not just go and do talk therapy. That's a part of it. But it's much bigger than most people are doing. I want it to be very, very comprehensive. So all of our sites, all of our senses, touch, feel, everything is incorporated into this program.
And, you and again, you started this years ago and you're really materializing it and bringing it out more and more because you're seeing a lot more people suffering from this, especially through COVID.
Yes. Oh,
COVID
did a number.
COVID did such a number on so many of us. Mm-hmm. How is it that you can identify that someone actually needs your services?
Well, usually they come to me, but I often, offer my services to people if I see that they're in need. But again, most of the time, I'm on social media and they will contact me on their own. And then what I do is I have a 15 to 30 minute consultation with them to show how I work this coaching program. And then also asking them, what is it that they would like to work on? Very rudimentary as far as coaching goes. The client, we need to get to know each other. And then once we start figuring out together what takes precedence, we'll start with, do you need negative, positive reinforcement because of your negative thoughts? So forth and so on. So, so think about the circles again, right? Think about the soul, the circle within the circle within the circle. In one person, in each of us, I coach on negative thought patterns and feelings that come from negative thoughts and behaviors because of the feelings, right? So we know if we're going through something at home, we could take that into work. Or if it's something has happened at work, we bring it back into the house. So talking is needed, right? All the time because the client needs to feel heard. They also need to hear themselves because sometimes, we speak in our heads. And when it's in our heads, it sounds really, really good. But when we sound it out to someone else and allow someone to listen and guide us, we end up saying, even as it leaves our mouth, now I know I don't really believe that. I don't really believe that.
Right.
And so how can we get people to say, I really don't believe what my mother or my father or my sister when I was 5 years old said about me. I believe what God says about me, right? So we're working on the body and the mind connection. Also, I use modalities because, again, it's comprehensive. And so it's not just talk. It's EFT is emotional freedom techniques where you tap on acupressure points on your body while you're talking about certain traumatic events in your life. And while you're tapping, the feel-good hormone serotonin, which is used in antidepressants, is replacing the bad hormone cortisol. So we're using Reiki, we're using EFT, we're using walking meditation, we're using nature, we're using whatever is going to bring your spirit alive. So you'll feel your spirit and your soul will start going away, breaking away a little bit. Homework assignments are really, really important because it allows the clients to practice the various ways to change their behaviors and holding them back from realizing their divine spark. Divine spark. That's what we want people to show. Like let your light shine before men so that they can see God, right?
And it's interesting that you say that, because people that I'm thinking that would come to you is people that has had traumatic situations. So whether it was childhood, whether it's something that may have just occurred and they just don't know how to deal with it. You incorporate all of the pieces of what, the soul, mind, body, spirituality. Some people sometimes are, they feel that, they went through this traumatic situation, this traumatic issue, and the spirituality is now compromised. Like, they've lost the faith. How do you deal with people that had, that has that the faith is now compromised?
Yeah.
Because it's a big
Mm-hmm.
part of your healing. I mean,
It
and
is.
not to say that, people who have faith or believe, but that is part of what you are working with. And how is it that you can deal and get over that with folks that are feeling that faith compromise?
A lot of my clients are Christians, and some are not, right? So when I'm coaching people, I coach along who they are. And so if they're Christians, I can definitely support, them with religious and spiritual things. They come to me um, because they know, Christians anyway, come to me because they know that I'm going to talk about God. I'm going to talk about hurt. For instance, right? So I retired from my pastorate. COVID did a number on us financially. And then, 3 months later, I'm back home with my family in Connecticut. And then my father falls ill. Right. So with all of the coping mechanisms that I've had, with all of the God I've preached, all the church I've been to, all the commissions I've led, and still, until I started doing soul care, and it took some time, until I started doing soul care, my spiritual life was kind of set aside because it was so many questions of, okay, God, now what? I know you're here. I'm not like, the people who are going to question you whether you're here, but what is happening now? Where am I going? Where's this leading to? Taking care of my dad for the last year and a half. And he's very ill. And so my life has changed. And so I started applying my soul care techniques that I tell everybody else to do. And heal thyself is very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to work my program. I had to sit outside in nature, in the cold, in the heat, just to feel alive, and that God was still with me and around me. I had to do my self-talk. I had to work with a coach. And it's funny because sometimes because I knew the modalities that I wanted to use, but I didn't want to try them on myself. You need people to come, right, and support you.
Right.
And so spiritual people are looking for to break away. They're looking for their soul to just give way so that their light can come out and shine. And so I think my coaching, I wouldn't want to say that it's just for Christians, because it isn't. I've dealt with many different folks from different religions or agnostic, and it works the same. The language is just a little bit different.
Right, right. And that's good to know that, it's not only just you know how to be diverse in this
Absolutely. You have to
situation.
be in this
Yeah,
world that we're living in. I mean,
yeah.
there are people who specialize in Christianity or who are Jews, and they have their places, but there also needs to be people out there who speak different languages, right?
Right. Right, exactly. And also with grief, So I was talking with someone the other day and she has a spiritual guide, a spiritual advisor, and she came to me and she said, I'm looking for someone that can help me cope with, the passing of her mom, with,
Mm,
her daughter who grew up with her mom, how is she, how is she coping and things like that. And I mentioned it. I was like, well, you haven't spoke to your pastor. She was like, I'm
mm.
all pastored out. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
pastored out. How so soul care, that I'm looking at it in terms of making the coalition like, okay, you have the spiritual guidance, but the soul care is now part of it, but it's still bringing in that other part, that where the spiritual guidance is not there. It's the other part. It's the
Absolutely.
learning how to, talk about it, learning how to, the breathing, the,
Yeah.
the enjoying the nature, like all of these things I'm hearing about what you're talking about is a form of this soul care for individuals that are going through this. And you necessarily don't have to, and correct me if I'm wrong, have to have some type of traumatic episode with
Not at
yourself.
all.
It's just peace of mind. So soul care is more, like self-care.
Yeah, stress reduction, self-care. It helps with traumatic events. And you're right, it doesn't have to be a traumatic event that sends you to me. It could just be, listen, my life work balance is off. Now, sometimes that leads back to, negative thoughts and patterns that we can address. But it's not because you come because you're grieving over a loved one or something like that. It's really just everyday people. And I'm finding more and more women in my age range as well who are, that sandwich generation. They're taking care of kids and they're taking care of their parents, and life still stays the same when you have to add another group to take care of to your life. So
Right.
how do you balance that? How do you not forget yourself? Right? Because, and if you forget yourself, forget it. You can't bless anybody else when you haven't gotten yourself together. So a lot of that mind restructuring, mood restructuring, we're going through a lot in this world with, the politics and the division, so forth. And so everything is kind of coming at us. And so that means that we need to have some time to retreat, right? And get away from all of that. And, we want to be up on the latest. I got to watch my news every night, but sometimes it's like, I can't handle news. and I'm not going to handle news.
I read someplace that, years ago when you heard about, anything negative, it would, it wasn't constant. And now the minute you turn on the news, that's all you hear. They were like, no, this is what it said. The scariest thing back in the day, years ago, was the Twilight Zone.
God.
Now, the scariest thing that is here is the news. So, the minute you turn on the news, someone is shot. There's a bombing in the country. There's a flood. There is just so many things that are happening that can really mess with your psyche and just mess with your being. And the work that what you're doing, I say that it is very, very needed all across the board, not only just for women but for men. Absolutely. Because mental health is a thing. And years ago, we didn't know how to deal with this. Something happened, we kept it moving. Like getting therapy or getting something like a soul care coaching was unheard of. You were looked at that you were crazy.
Now, Aunt Sally, don't worry about Aunt Sally. She be okay.
She'll be
She's
fine.
Just talking to herself.
Exactly. So now it's, so you may not be calling it, mental health. You may not be you're calling it soul care, because again, it's more than just the mental. It's the body, it's the soul, it's the spiritual part about it.
Everything.
So you mentioned you tapped into retreat. And I know that you have a retreat coming up. Talk to us about the retreat.
Yeah, I do. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be on June 22nd here in Connecticut, and we're having a soul care healing retreat, and it's going to focus mostly on the mind and how it affects the body. So we know that our bodies are affected by our thoughts, right? And even cause disease in our bodies. Something that happened to me, in 1990 has lodged itself somewhere in my body. Same with you, same with everyone. And so we're going to talk about that mind-body connection. Is going to be educational, but it's also going to be experiential. So we have someone coming in to do yoga and meditation. We have someone coming in to do lymphatic drainage. Well, she probably won't be actually doing it, but she'll show you how to do it on yourself, which is even better. Because once the water in us, remember we're 75% water, starts flowing better in our bodies, and we can do that by tapping or massaging ourselves, you can live more healthily. And some of the diseases, you can get away from all of those diseases because we're stagnated and inflamed, right? That word, inflammation. And then we're also going to have EFT, emotional freedom techniques, which can improve everyday stress and anxiety, but also help traumatic events in our lives, help dissipate those feelings of anxiety around what happened previously. And we all know that what happened when we were 4 years old is still following us, right?
Yeah.
And so every time something I use, okay, 5th grade, my teacher said, and this isn't true, thank God, because I am a writer, but it did happen to me later. But say 5th grade, my teacher told me that I was a bad writer, and that's all I wanted to do. And then I go to high school, and someone said, oh, you're a bad writer. And then you're responding to the 5th grade teacher with the same thing. And then it happens again until you learn
right.
how, how to address it and realize that that was a poor thing, a bad thing that someone else said to you. And it should not stop you from doing and being who you want to be. So come to the retreat, dress comfortably. We're serving continental breakfast and lunch, and you're just going to be around a whole bunch of good people. And we're going to get rid of our well-earned stress together.
Right. And I know that, it's going to be in Connecticut, so it's going to be, in the suburbs. I know you have a limited amount of people that you are, that wants to register, but, once they register, what is the process? Because I'm pretty sure that, once they register, there's something that they have to do in order for you to be in tune with them when they get there. Like what is that process?
So once you pay, you use the QR code on the flyer. I will send you a form, and it's a form for you to fill out, right? The people to fill out about what are you looking for? What is your biggest desire for this retreat? Are you a spiritual person? Are you not? So we can kind of accommodate people where they are. And then also, I'm a minister still. I might be retired, but that's just who I am. I pray before all of my sessions, in session. And so I might not do it at the retreat, but I'm going to be praying over the people who are coming to the retreat. And in fact, I'm already praying over them as they come.
As they come. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, what date is it?
June 22nd. Registration is from 8:30 to 9:30. So for those who are coming out of town, you don't have to leave extra early because you could get here by 9:30. Just really looking forward to the day, rain or shine. We have lots of space outside, but if it rains, we got enough space inside, and we're going to do what we have to do and shed some of these bad things and vibes and energies that we have surrounding us today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you can find that registration on on Reverend KC's website, which is restoredlifegroup.com. You can also, go on her website, schedule a session. You'll see the work what she's doing. This is very, very important work for your soul. This is very important for you to be successful. And that's why I'm really glad that you're able to have this discussion with me tonight for my listening audience, because, people are looking for different things. Maybe one group, one type is working for someone else, and then they hear what you're doing and they're like, that's what I was looking for. So, I'm really glad that you were able to take the time to, talk with me and talk about what soul care is all about. And, and I wish you all the best on the retreat.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, please make sure that you go to Reverend KC's website, restoredlifegroup.com. Make sure that you register. There is only a limited amount of people that she is having for the retreat that's coming up. So make sure that you jump on it right now. And again, Reverend KC, what would you like to leave us with?
I want to leave all of you with, you are so loved. You're created in a divine image, and you are so extremely loved. And what you're going through now does not mean that you're going to be going through it even next week or next year. It's a process, it's a season. And if you have support and help and find your purpose in there, then you're going to be okay, and you're going to live a long, strong life.
I love it. I love it so much. And I also want to leave with pray, purpose, and people. You know, your community is a lot. Make sure that your community is powerful. Your community is for you, and you're for your community. Once
Amen.
again, thank you so much, Reverend KC. I appreciate your time. Everyone, I will see you at the next NetStruc Talks. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you.